All right, people. Let's see how long this goes. See how long I maintain attention. We may have some. It seems like 10 a.m. is a difficult internet time for us. I really need to get some good lights in here. I've been waiting on our Cree shipment to show up. I don't know. It just keeps getting pushed back. But you're also going to likely hear. I mean, the Shure mics are pretty good because you don't hear a lot of background noise. But they're packing crazy out there since it is Black Friday and we've got thousands of orders to deal with. I guess it's not thousands yet. I don't like that when people pretend like I got thousands of emails. Now you got like 80. It's not thousands. Let's see where we're at here. Number of orders. This year I'm gonna do. The numbers are starting to get big enough that I hate this, but. Even when I shared the first $1 million month we hit, it backfired on me. Lots of people get angry, and I don't know. I don't understand that, but I'm just not going to share them anymore. It's just not conducive to future friendships with people, I guess. So we'll just talk order numbers. So we've got 1,784 orders. And that's we turned it off on like Monday afternoon, and then or turned on the sale Monday afternoon, just kind of snuck it in there. Not Monday, Thursday afternoon. Feels like a Monday. Thursday, Thanksgiving afternoon, and then we'll run it through the midnight. We don't extend it. Run it through midnight Eastern on Monday, and so Friday is always the biggest day, and Monday is the second biggest day, and hopefully people continue to support and respond. It's been super humbling, and then it'll take us, we figure, somewhere around 10 days to catch up to the orders, but it's going to take probably 12 months to catch up with all the reserve your spot stuff. Hopefully it's not that long, but I fear that some of this stuff that people are wanting is going to be a pretty big process for us to get a hold of and get here. So it's really humbling and exciting and a lot of fun, and we'll have we've already have our record month this month. So even before Black Friday, the business was doing great. We were selling considerably more than we did last year. So just now today we've eclipsed last year's total month number, and we'll blow through that. We still have today and tomorrow and Monday to work through. But Saturday and Sunday usually aren't as big of days. People kind of slow down the sale, buying stuff, but the sale continues, and again, it's fun to watch the numbers, and then to try to support everybody as much as possible, and then running the live stream just so that so I can converse with you all and answer questions. And I thought last night, I'm like, well, what could we make a video on? And I said, well, let's just do one of these little marathon Ask Matt Anythings, and we can talk about money, we can talk about life, we can talk about anything you want. We can talk about cars, detailing, garages, whatever you want to talk about, and we'll get into. So we'll keep a live feed on where we're at. I guess I'm not sharing the numbers. It's dumb, but I'm just not going to do it. I'll probably end up sharing it anyway. So I'm going to go to the chat, and we'll kind of work through those. And I have a few questions from Instagram. And then if you guys ask questions, it helps me keep going. And I'm sure I'll be ranting on something. But, yeah. So 50-year-old mountain biker says, what are your thoughts on Tommy Effia's OEM Plus Civic? I haven't. I've been so immersed in this Black Friday and building out the Atlanta garage, and then working on building out the products here. And Mike and I have been working on getting the garage at my house complete. We have a few more projects to work on there to get that done. And so I haven't really been watching. I haven't really seen what the deal is. And then Dominic says Tommy Effia ? Pan has a new Porsche. Then Shmi 150 is bigger on YouTube than both of them. Who cares about? I don't know. I know that there's people that follow me and then follow some others, but a lot of it doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of the people that are just car spotting, car shopping, I don't know, it just gets kind of weird with too much car stuff. Yeah, so I don't know. I just don't. I talked about this a little bit yesterday in the live stream, the podcast. It's really disappointing to me that, a lot of the people that I follow on YouTube that, I have met many of them in person, and they just don't freaking know anything. It's frustrating. Super chat. This is one way to get my attention, is to give me a few bucks, and mainly because it highlights it here. So Peyton says, I prefer the look of Sabre cabinets over Sonic. No logos, very minimal look, but I prefer the Sonic foam system over Tool Grid for tools. Thoughts? So this is a sad reality, and it's been a sad reality for quite some time, in that I'm not going to tell you the story of how this happened, but I discovered Sabre cabinets. There was one post on Garage Journal. This is probably like 2013. I had bought some Geneva cabinets from Griot's Garage, and they kept showing up damaged and broken, and they just weren't good. They were maybe a shade step above New Age and Husky and Gladiator, but they weren't great cabinets, and they were red, and that was when I had the red theme going, which was a terrible idea. So if those of you have been watching for a long time, I had it was like the basic yellow lights. So I had the probably 2700K bulbs in the garage, some fixtures, some Lithonia fixtures from Home Depot. I had done the epoxy flooring, which was a disaster. The walls were brown. They were the like kind of tan brown color. And I had a Craftsman workbench and a Craftsman toolbox, and I wanted some cabinets, and so I bought these Geneva cabinets from Obsessed Garage, or not from Griot's Garage. And I also had bought all of the shelves, which I continued to increase my percentage of shelves that I had. So I had all the Griot bottle shelves, which I've since kind of moved away from that style over the years and gone to a more clean look. But that was the setup in the garage. And so I found a post. I was looking to, I'd started the YouTube channel, and I was sort of got this, started to chase, making a few bucks on affiliate links and the other. So I did what I normally do. If I made $10, I'd spend $300, thinking, well, shoot, I just made $10. And so I made a couple $1,000. So I'm like, well, I need to get cabinets. And I really wanted Lista or Moduline, and I got quotes from each of them, and they were 20-something thousand, $20,000+ to do each. And at the time, I was probably making like, I don't know, 110, maybe 130 grand, something like that. And it just wasn't, I guess maybe I was on the path. I was making considerably more at a greater clip. But I wasn't making, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to be able to buy a $20,000 set of cabinets. And so I found Sabre on Garage Journal. I was following Garage Journal a lot, although Garage Journal really frustrated me because there's a lot of janky, Coors Light neon sign, red stripe, checkerboard, junk garages. It's 99% of, it's mostly cluttered garages where dudes won't throw anything away, and they just collect a bunch of junk. And so I found there was one post, and occasionally there was a post, and there was one post where a guy got blue, and these cabinets were called Sabre cabinets. I'm like, oh, these look really great. And they were priced, which they're not so much anymore, but they were priced very reasonably, maybe 2.5 times the cost of like a New Age setup. So a New Age setup of similar size was something like, say $1,800, and this was like $4,500 to do something similar. And so I called the company, and I talked to them and said, hey, I found this post in Garage Journal. I'd really like to buy these cabinets. And that was the start of my style that I now carry forward today. So if those of you who followed that, it was my foray into Swiss Tracks, which was to cover up the epoxy floor. And then it was the start of me, then eventually providing Sabre cabinets. So in 2017, I knew I wanted to sell them, and he didn't have like wholesale margins built in, and so I was selling lots of Sabre cabinets for him already, and because no one knew anything about them. There was only one Garage Journal post, and till I started talking about him, he was just selling kind of door to door, trying to sell to different commercial outlets and things like that. And so, so Dean, who was the guy who owned it, Dean was in Las Vegas, but he had worked in, I think it's in like somewhere near Portland or somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, where he had worked for Bald Head Cabinets for a number of years, and I think he was one of their designers or one of their engineers or something like that. When he left and sort of semi-retired, he decided to start, he had relationships in China, decided to start his own cabinet company with the thesis that he would sell cabinets that had none of the fluff and just had what was needed, and they did really well with the things that were needed. And so he went to China, figured it out, and had these cabinets manufactured. And they were fantastic, and he continued to improve them a little bit over the years, but they didn't have things. They didn't have soft close doors or drawers. They didn't have. We had 4 colors and only 5 different. I guess we had the wide storage, narrow storage, 4 drawer, 6 drawer, double door, single drawer, and then uppers. And so we had like maybe 7 cabinets, and he had countertops made. And it was a nice system for. Under $5,000, you could do a 15 or 20 foot array of cabinets, and it was fantastic. So fast forward, I'm helping him build the brand, and he offered it to me to buy. Now I was still in wealth management. I was, but Obsessed Garage was growing, and it was just too much of a risk. I think he had about 750 million, or not million, 750,000 in revenue, of which, I guarantee I was responsible for 2/3 of that, maybe even 3/4 of that. And I think he wanted like $1.2 million or something like that for the brand and the client base, which I just couldn't get over the fact that I was buying my own revenue that I had kind of created on my own. And the other thing I was nervous about at the time was that I don't have a place to put all those cabinets, and I would need a big warehouse, and also I was nervous about having to deal with China and having to order these things, and it just wasn't set. We weren't set up to do that. We had maybe 3 or 4 employees, and it just wasn't in the cards. So this might have been right after I left Wealth Management. I'm not sure the exact date. And so he sold the company. I don't know what he sold it for, but he sold the company to a company in Washington D.C. area, Northern Virginia area, and so they own it today. So Eli and I think it's his son Avi who own Sabre Cabinets, and they've struggled with supply, and we're a wholesaler. We're a purchaser of the product. And so I'm sure they struggle with who do they provide, because their margins are much better if they don't wholesale, if they sell at retail, and they have retail trucks that drive all around that area, and they've been doing garage builds, basic homeowner garage builds, and so that's why they bought the cabinet company line. And so they're attempting to make improvements and things like that. But of course, we have these major issues with import issues, getting things from China, not to mention the price of steel and the price of powder coating, the price of fabrication has risen. And so now we have a cabinet that is 2-3 times more than it once was, which it's not that this company is coming in and jacking up the price. They just, the cost, the raw material costs keep going up and up and up. And it's making it pretty clear that getting things Chinese made may not be the future. Maybe we get back to a sort of a time of American manufacturing. And so the Sabre cabinets, I'm kind of giving you the rundown of the difference here. The Sabre cabinets, I think, look better than Sonic. Now, I don't think they look better than Sonic MSS Plus, but MSS Plus is in a different league. So I think Sabre looks better if you mount it on a wall. Sabre's not a great candidate. They have little legs, but they're not nice. And so you really need to mount them to the wall to make it look decent. So if you have a drywall 2x4 studded wall, you're going to need to tear the drywall out and really reinforce that wall and put the drywall back on, or build it with 2x6 and stringer across it and add some bracing, things like that, in order to really make it a stout install. So the install is a lot more complicated to do with Sabre than it would be on Sonic. But the Sabre system, the Sabre options, it's a really great cabinet in its current form. Now they're talking about switching manufacturers and maybe changing up and starting to add some of the things that I'm sure they're getting kind of beaten up by people wanting the bells and whistles, all the bull crap that all the cheap cabinets tout, like soft close and wire chases and weird stuff that is just that's not necessary, that people think are necessary, because most people buying this level of cabinet have never really had cabinets before. I'm telling you, you don't need any of that stuff. You just want the quality cabinet. Forget gauge and all that stuff. The gauge doesn't matter. So forget all the specs and just listen to what I tell you. Just email me, what cabinet should I buy, and I'll frickin' tell you. You tell me your situation, I'll tell you what you need to buy. And it's never going to be, I would just wait. Wait, don't buy New Age, just wait. Save money, take the money you're going to put in New Age, put it in a bank account, and put, $100 in there a month or something like that, whatever you can scrape together, and wait a year or 2 or 3 and get something better. Don't get that junk. You're wasting your money. Just, like I said, just wait. So, the Sabre stuff, the problem you're going to run into, if you want the Sabre, I would bank on 9 months to delivery. That's what I would bank on, which is a lot longer than ever before. So you're going to want to just put that on your calendar that, hey, I'm going to put the money up, I'm going to buy these things, and that's sunk. It's a sunk cost, and I'm going to get it when they come in. But if you like foam, you could do Kaizen foam, but Kaizen foam looks nothing like Sonic foam. We're going to get Kaizen foam and carry that as an option, and you'll show people how to do that. But the disadvantage, you have to keep in mind that foam versus tool grid, you just need a lot more drawers, because tool grid in a tall drawer, like a 6-inch drawer, like the Sabre stuff, or I guess they're 7 or 8 inches deep. You can fit 3 or 4 drawers worth of things that would normally lay flat on foam, that you can then stack, which works a lot better. You can do Sonic foam in Sabre cabinets, but it just doesn't it doesn't fit very well. You got to tack get some Kaizen foam to make it so it doesn't slide around in there. So yeah, I mean, Sabre is in a perfect world, if it was readily available and if it was priced accordingly, it should be, I think, one of the best, most viable options there are. But the disadvantage right now is getting them. And we're going to have second, and it makes sense. If I owned Sabre and I had a few wholesalers, guess who would get the Sabre cabinets first? It'd be my local customers. And then the online stuff would come second if I was installing Sabre cabinets. And so that's what's happening, is that I would guess that they're they keep certain stock back to satisfy their local install jobs, which makes sense. So I do like Sabre a lot. I don't know what the future holds for it, but I will tell you that I have aspirations to make my own cabinets to my own spec, and then I will wholesale those to other dealers who want to deal it, and we will buy in stock and ship them myself. So we are going to do that. That's the goal. Dewey did it. Thanks, $5 super chat. Have you checked out the company Wall Control? And I want to talk to you about, let's see, a company I'm a dealer for, Boltster, and get you to check it out. Well, let's check it out while we're on here. Boltster. Let's see. Let me get a new tab. Boltster. Original flexible bolt and fastener. Never lose a 1/4-inch bit or screw again. It's the Bitster organizer. That's kind of cool. Shoot, I kind of need something like that for oh, I see what it is. It's a little tray that you would put all your bolts in, just kind of jam them in there for when you're working on a car so you don't lose them. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy one and try it out. Interesting. All right, let's go back to so that was Boltster. Let's see. Saturn Sapphire, another super chat, says, "Are used car prices a bubble?" I'm not one to make predictions. Any predictions I've ever made have not really worked out so well. So, some people have a knack for that. I don't as much. I'm a much better assessor of what's happened or what is happening, not so much what is going to happen. I just don't have that predictive gene in me. But here's what I know. I mean, we're in a current environment where there are too many dollars chasing too few goods. That is exacerbated by product sitting on ships, container price increases, and generally other countries shutting down even more aggressively than some of the states here in the U.S. And so you have this situation where you have people that aren't working as much, workers in that capacity, skilled workers for operating cranes and things like that, kind of go in and out as they get a virus and they come back. And so there's a lot of lost time everywhere in the world. And so production is slowed, shipping is slowed, offloading is slowed, trucking has slowed, combined with a sort of an international labor shortage as governments have stimulated and pumped all this money in the system. And so you have, even just take, 200 million Americans or whatever, 150 million Americans that got a couple $1,000, that couple $1,000, pushed throughout the system, adds up to a lot of things getting inflated, largely because of the supply-demand issues. So you have too many dollars chasing too few goods. Even goods that aren't great and shouldn't be appreciating in value are. So even an inexpensive old junky car has increased in value because there's more money available for people to buy it, or people are being forced to put more money up in order to get what they need at the moment. And so more willing buyers means that a willing seller is getting hooked up here, and that's a recipe for major price increases. So here's what I think happens if I was going to predict, and probably be wrong, but regular cars that are not in short supply, that nobody really cares about, are going to probably drop like a rock at some point when the dollars dry up or the goods show up, when the supply-demand curve shifts, and that will probably be longer than anyone anticipates. Most cycles last longer. Remember, the greatest example is remember the 14 days to flatten the curve idea. Just human nature. When you steer a giant ship, it takes a lot to steer it back. And so, for instance, another example is when UPS adds a fuel surcharge, they don't take it back. When gas prices fall again. Or fuel prices fall, airlines, stuff like that. They just keep it for additional profit in the future. And so cars will likely be the same. As when the dollars dry up, there is there's a very high probability that the cars still hold value. And then there is also a high probability that cars like a 997.2 GT3 RS 4.0 or a 458 Speciale or a Honda Civic Si or a Acura NSX or something like that, a first gen NSX. These cars that they're not making anymore. We're making a transition to safer, more fuel efficient, or fuel-less electric cars as we make this transition toward that. And as more and more Honda Civics of the world get destroyed, and NSXs, those prices are probably not going to fall again, especially since there will be a supply-demand change as generationally. I just know me. I don't want some 1960s hot rod. I don't want a 70s or 80s car. I want 90s cars. And so the reason why the generation after me, like the Adam LZ generation, likes the 90s cars is because they could get them. Well, what's going to happen is those kids ruined a good percentage of the 90s cars, but then all of the 90s generation that actually grew up with those cars is coming into their own. And so now we're in a situation where we have a significant supply-demand change there. So even if the the economy takes a dip and our supply demand curve changes and there's no more money or there's less money in the system, there's still going to be a supply demand imbalance, high demand, low supply, with more dollars chasing fewer goods inside of that demographic. And so even if we have a major slump, I don't think prices are going to fall on this 90s through 2010 2015 generation cars, because they are unique. They are likely the best of internal combustion engine, the heyday of that. And so I think you will see, as the my parents and my grandparents' generation, as they pass on, I think that you're going to see all these old classics. There's going to be some that retain value. There'll be some niche lovers of those cars, like I don't know, like an Olds 454 or something like that, or Hemi Cuda, 70 Hemi Cuda, or late 60s Hemi Cuda. Maybe those hold value, but in general, I think those are going to fall like a rock, because the supply-demand curve will change on those, and that there will be much more supply and zero demand, because guys like me and guys like most of you watching don't have any interest in that stuff. So if you're hoping that a 97 Supra it plummets like a rock in the next recession, I would wager it's likely not going to. And I think that, unfortunately for me, I think that like 997 GT3 RSs that I would love to have, I think those are not going to, I don't think they're going to depreciate. I think that those prices have run away from me, unless for some reason, and which is possible, if Obsessed Garage becomes a, $200 or $300 million business and I'm making $10-12 million a year, then maybe it doesn't matter. I can get what I want, but who knows? I think that the prices of those cars have run away from most of us. Let's see. Thanks, Jeremy Nelson, again. A couple more super chats. I just picked up a 77-inch LG OLED. Are you going to do a video in 4K? Are you going to do video in 4K? Get a box of disposable aprons for when you wash the car. No more wet shorts. I'm not wearing an apron when I wash the car. I'd rather have wet shorts. All of our videos are in 4K, with the exception of the live stream, which, because of our upload speed and our bandwidth capability, kind of messes us up here. But all the other stuff is in 4K 60 and awesome. So we shoot with right now we're shooting on Canon 70D, but we also shoot on Canon C200s, and I would like to transition to Red here soon. But yeah, we do all that in 4K. Make sure if you got a 77 LG, go to ISF Image Science Foundation, ImageScienceFoundation.com. Look for a level 2 calibrator in your area and hire them. Pay them $400 or $500 to come calibrate that thing. It'll completely transform it. Mark Rogers asks, have you seen the Driftworks new GT3? Is that the guy that somebody else is sharing me that he said he's been waiting, he ordered it 6 years ago, which is a bunch of freaking nonsense. It's not how it works. You can't order a car that doesn't exist. It's not how it works. And it's just a thumbnail, so it probably didn't actually mean that. But no, I haven't really seen much of it, other than when somebody posted it, I Google it just to see what they're talking about. Seems like a nice guy, another YouTube guy, and I guess they drift a lot. But yeah, let's see. SC1 $4.99, thank you. Why do you think there's such a recent increase in journalist hate on Tesla, i.e. Smoking Tire and Jalopnik? All can talk about it now. Why couldn't they talk about it before? Yeah, I don't know. I don't take any stock in journalists. I don't take any stock in consumer reviewers. And they're entertaining to watch, but people take that stuff as gospel. And, like Matt Farah has lots of experience in behind the wheel of a lot of different cars. So his opinion has some value. It's not really an opinion. He has a lot of experience in that. But, this stuff is largely personal. You can take it for what it's worth. I do watch, if I'm interested in a particular car or something, I'll watch as much as I can get my hands on. I'm not sure why they'd hate on Tesla. I mean, if you know what Tesla is, you know what you're getting into. And I've been pretty pleased with the experience thus far. I've been looking at, I'm probably going to order a Rivian, the SUV version, just to experience that, and that may be my solution to hold me over until 6-7 allocations of rounds of. I'm waiting for the supply-demand curve to change on Gen 3 Raptors. Wait till they come back to reality. Right now is a terrible time to buy it. But the Rivian is something interesting to me, which I'm sure will have kind of crappy performance and build quality for a while, but we'll see. So I just take Tesla for what it is, and I really appreciate it. And for me, I'm a balding, middle-aged, getting old man. I'm turning into an old man, and it'd be nice to stay relevant and understand. One of my ultimate fears is turning into an annoying old man. So, and be stuck in my ways. I'd like to continue to evolve and grow. Jeremy Nelson, what suspension setup would you recommend for a BMW X6M? And do you ever ECM tune your cars? Yeah, I always tune almost all the cars. So X6, I would give Barry at 3DM Motorsport a call. He doesn't specialize in that, but I would want a custom Öhlins road and track setup for that. And then I would want a very simple, high quality ECU, flash tune. I'm not doing MHD or what are these other douchey, cheapo, out of the box crap. I don't care if it makes more power. I don't want some random, open source tune. I'm calling Active Auto Work, or I'm calling ESS, even though those tunes are going to be much more conservative and much simpler. That's what I'm doing with my $110,000 SUV. So I would call them, and I would call Active Auto Work first. The best thing to do is call Sean at Precision Sport Industries, PSI. Ask him what to do. He's had several X6s or X5s, I guess he said, not X6, but same thing. I would call him and ask him, and then also ask him about what AST suspension he might recommend for that as well. Colin Campbell, 1999. Thank you, sir. Installing Swiss tracks today, waiting on it to be delivered. Had the garage floor steam cleaned this morning. Thanks for all the resources on installation. Made my decisions easy. Well, shoot, Colin. We have a very detailed, to the point, very specific Swiss tracks video we're editing right now that I have to voice over for my last garage. Reckless Thomas. Hey, Matt, it's Tommy Snap. I always call him Tommy. Just wanted to reach out on all the great success with Obsessed Garage. What are your thoughts on a Lexus SC300? Have a good day, bud. Didn't your dad have one of those back in the day? I mean, I remember SC300 was the maybe I'm thinking SC400, but that was the late 90s, mid 90s Lexus. I remember I delivered mail in Berwick, and there was a couple, and they had matching SC. I thought they were 400s, but I think 300s. Remember the gold package where it had the gold, like Camrys had that too, where you could get the gold trim where all the letters were gold. This is before I knew anything about debadging. So when I grew up, I lived on Four Seasons Drive, and Tommy and Robbie lived on Edgewater, and their parents were very lenient, right? So they would let us come there and just terrorize the place. So Tommy was a lot younger than us, but he was a wild man, and so me and Kevin Walsh and Marvin Groff and Andy Laputka, we would all go over to Robbie's house because they would let us rob the fridge. And Tommy's parents owned Snap's Pizza, so they always had, in Hazleton, PA, it's like a cold pizza, and so they always had pizza, and they always had strawberry milk. And so we would go there. They'd let us eat whatever we wanted, play video games in the basement. And we'd always egg Tommy, convince him to do crazy stuff like chase his brother with a knife, or pee on his feet or something like that. And he'd always do some crazy crap. So Tommy was one of my favorite young humans. Hopefully he's turned out okay, because he was a crazy child. Anyway, thanks for the support, Tommy. Appreciate it. Let's see. Let's go back up to the top here. If you have more super chats, let me know. I'll jump to the bottom. Let's see. Jimmy JV says, do you have a business mentor, anyone you go to for advice for scaling your business? Congrats on your success so far, Matt. Thanks. Yeah, I have a business coach. His name's Rick Corbin. You can go check out, it was at thecorbingroup.com. So Rick Corbin and Nancy Klutz are my coaches. We meet twice a month, and then they're on call if I ever have any questions about anything. But my current thing is figuring out how to be more appreciative of humans. I'm great with objects and not so great with humans. And despite my eloquence and ability to sit here for an hour and a half and talk straight about complicated subjects, I liken it to, I was telling Michelle this the other day. I said, you're freaking out when the printer isn't working, or like how you're trying to turn the TV on and the you just can't figure out, it didn't switch the input automatically, and so you don't know what to do. And I said, so imagine that not only can you not do that, but you had to like hook up all the equipment and put all the wires in the right spot. I said, what would that make you feel if you had to do that and your life depended on it? She said, I'd be a miserable. I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd lock up. I'd be miserable. I wouldn't even know where to start. I said, well, that's how I feel when it comes to acknowledging humans, discussing with them their future, not talking about the only thing I know anything about emotionally and that's myself. And so it feels to me when I have to like inquire about somebody else's life and what makes them tick, it feels to me like you would feel if you had to like wire up a sophisticated home theater, which to me is second nature. Not even a thought, just simple, enjoyable, easy to do. That's how most people feel when it comes to relationships with humans. Well, to me, it feels like programming a VCR, and I have no idea how to do it. And so we're working a lot on coaching me on that and figuring out how to do that. And it's painful. AFH, what is Mike Figueroa's job title at OG? It seems like he does everything once, but never does the same thing twice. We haven't really created a title for him, so we'll have to work on that. I like for the people that come here to create their own title. And so that's something we'll work on in the future. Right now, we're just doing. In fact, Mike's in there picking orders like everybody else. Tommy's in there picking orders. Everybody's helping out the warehouse crew, doing a different job than they normally do, so that way we can get the orders out and keep people happy, and hopefully have more people buy more stuff. But we'll get Mike on here and have him give his background and tell his story. And I promise we will. We have a checklist of like 150 things that we want to get done that I've been waiting on him to come and do, and that means we have 150 videos to do on 150 different things. But he's coming here. The goal is for him to be able to provide me a resource to try things and to perfect things. And so, for instance, I want to make a deionization system, and so we'll chase that together, and he'll craft it and build it, and then we'll be able to chase that down and manufacture it. So that's how I'm able to, afford to have him come here, because we're going to be creating lots of new products. So I'm taking that gamble. Right now, we're doing things that he's way overqualified to do, and that's to kind of get this place and get get us to where we're back to a proactive existence. And so he and I are going to be working on a lot of different projects, and I think the videos turn out great when we do them together, and certainly the result of the project turns out better. And so we'll give him a title at some point. He'll create his own title, and we'll figure out what that is and what the future path is. But right now we're just doing stuff. Matthew Phillips, a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. What is your go-to computer monitor? I've been looking at the Apple XDR monitors and have a tough time stomaching the cost. Is it worth it? I'm not a computer monitor expert. The monitors we've been buying here are the Dell 38 ultra wide. They just came out with a new one, which are pretty nice, $1,200 monitors. I have a LG. By the way, these freaking sweatshirts are awesome. This not a sweatshirt or whatever, a zip-up hoodie. This is the lighter weight gray one, which is amazing, and then this green one. I'm in love with these things. We're probably sold out, but you want to get one. We'll have more coming. It's they're made by a company called Storm Tech, and then we embroider them with our company here in Orlando. So the Pro XDR monitor, I would highly suggest you don't get the one with the nano textured glass. That's the one I have. It's just not as crisp. I did it because of the aggressive lighting that I have in the garage where I have that display. It's certainly not worth it. I would probably go with 2 LG 5Ks, the Apple specific one. Those are great. Or shoot, 3 of them if you can run it on your computer. But the ultra wides are great functional monitors for us here, for all the people doing multiple things on one screen, or they have multiple windows open. So those really work quite well. Let's go back to the top. What suspension setup do you have in your BMW? So all 3 of them will have Öhlins. So Öhlins Road and Track. So they're the DFV dual flow valve version. So they're all from 3DM Motorsport. The E36 right now has TC Klein, but it's going to have a really sophisticated, really fancy Öhlins TTX, which is their track version, revalved. They don't make a road and track for the E36, and so Barry from 3DM makes a TTX version. So they'll all have a very similar suspension, all the 3 of them. Let's see. DK says, do you have a CPA for the OG business? Yes, definitely do. In fact, I'm going to have to hire, I need to have a conversation with him. I'm going to have to hire another bigger firm in order to do my international transition. So when we do Canada, we'll need a tax attorney and an international tax accountant. And so we'll be working on that. Also need an international lawyer in Canada. So we need to set up it's called an unlimited liability corporation, a ULC, which seems weird, unlimited liability. Which is what they call it in Canada. So we're going to set up a ULC, and then that'll be an entity. I don't know how that works exactly. I guess the parent S corp in the U.S. owns that, and then you don't get double taxation. You get an international tax credit for that debt revenue derived there. So anyway, we're about to open up Pandora's box. It's going to become infinitely more sophisticated, but from what I understand and what the accountants have been advising me on is that once you open Pandora's box and you get that figured out, then it's easier to go to other countries as well, like UK and Philippines and stuff like that. Let's see. Do you ever ECM tune your cars? I talked about that earlier. Yes. The E36 is a dine-in tune, which is really basic, It's right. It's like the latest version past the chip tune, where you put a new chip in your ECU board. I've done VTEC controllers, the Honda controllers. My E92 has a Alpine MSS tune, and let's see. I don't tune my Porsches, but I have had a tuning tech Frank Smith tune on my blue GT3. But yeah, I tune almost every car usually. Do you dry yourself with microfiber towel after a shower? I do not. I use a regular cotton towel. Thoughts on McQuarrie's quick interior detailer D149 versus P&S Express? I found Express foams too much for my liking. If it's foaming, Jason, a lot like that, you're probably using a bit much. I normally do 2 or 3 squirts on the towel, and I don't find the need to use a ton of interior cleaner. D149 is a fine interior cleaner, but I feel like P&S is a better cleaner than 149. Is more of a wipe down thing. It just sounds to me like you're probably using way too much. Unless your interior is extremely dirty, you should really be cleaning your seats with leather, with color lock anyway, and maybe just an occasional wipe down with P&S interior cleaner. But 2-3 spritzes on a towel and wipe it down. It leaves a nice matte finish. That's what I tend to prefer. Let's see. Built by Ross says, good morning. Good morning to you, sir. SZKO says, Hex Crypto. I'm not sure what he's talking about there. Let's see. I'm the QB, or OB, not QB. What is the most DIY-friendly ceramic coating you've personally applied so far? Yeah, I think I'm just kind of racking my brain thinking of all the different ones I've used. I think that CSL is by far the easiest. EXO is a little bit more complicated, smears around a bit, but CSL I think is the easiest to apply coating. All others, ISM, Miyabi from Kamikaze, all the Gion stuff. I've done a lot of them. All the CarPro stuff. It'll require a little bit more skill than CSL is the easiest one. What kind of music do you listen to? Do you have a go-to playlist for a garage speaker system? Right now, I've been listening to. I use Tidal, Tidal, and right now I've been listening a lot to. And you kind of get stuck. You end up listening to the same darn stuff all the time. So let me go to my collection here. I don't really save many songs. I probably should start to make collections and stuff. Let's see. My recent activity is Perfect Circle, then Pussifer. Seether has a new album. The new Imagine Dragons album. I listened to Sarah Bareilles a lot here recently. I like female vocalists a lot for listening to great audio, like Adele or Sarah Bareilles or Sarah McLachlan. I've listened to Pink Floyd and a couple of Led Zeppelin songs. I really only like one Led Zeppelin song. That's No Quarter, which I think is pretty tough. So a lot of rock, I prefer, if I'm just kind of casually listening, so my version of classic rock would be like mid 90s, like Incubus and Puddle of Mud and that kind of stuff, which that's my 20s. And so you'll listen to like a 90s playlist on Spotify. So, I like Spotify more for playlists and things like that. If I can find, things to listen to. But I do have a pretty wide palette. I don't listen to country. I don't listen to classical. I don't listen to that kind of stuff. But I tend to prefer rock. But there are bands that I really dislike, like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Shinedown, and they're just terrible. I just can't do it. That people think are really popular. Jane's Addiction to me is terrible. But I find myself listening mostly to like Tool related, so the James Maynard, Keenan sort of bands are my current. I'm obsessed with Pussifer right now, which is his one of his other bands, and then the latest Perfect Circle album I listen to a lot. So that's generally what I listen to. I like Eric Clapton. I like I said, I like Pink Floyd. I've been kind of in a rut here looking for some new stuff. So if you have some suggestions, maybe you can send them to me. Yeah, that's my musical preference at the moment. Let's see, Matt. Would you recommend as an undercarriage coating for a guy that just spent 10 hours cleaning his undercarriage? Just something like Adam's. No, do not use Adam's undercarriage spray. That stuff is terrible. So maybe they have the new one, but the original stuff was just awful. It was just a track dirt. I don't know. I would look into Dr. Beasley's just developed a new undercarriage, protectant. I'd be inclined to mask off the rest of the car if I was going to use something like that. I have a couple of cans of it. I don't know, but Dr. Beasley's is usually good at that kind of weird stuff. So check that out. They have a new product. I don't know if they've launched it yet, but I do have a couple of cans of it that I would probably try. Let's see. What are your thoughts on the new Nissan Z? It's a Nissan. I don't really have any interest in it. Like, for instance, the new Supra I have a lot more interest in than the Z. If it's 40 grand, it's going to be a little bit. I'm a little bit too grown up, so I'm a little bit beyond that. Let's see, Cody B. Let's see. Have you ever looked at McNaught air hose reels? I have heard that before. I don't think I've ever looked at it, so let's do it right now. Air reel. Oh yeah. Yeah. These are Australian, I believe. They're okay. I've seen them, saw them for many years. I think Griot's used to have their own private label version of it. They're nice. I talked to them for a while at SEMA for several years about the possibility of them, like the garden hose version. One of the things that, if I remember correctly, they only sell it with their hoses, and I think that was a deal breaker for me because their hoses are not good at all. But they're okay. They feel a little cheaper because they are plastic, but I do know that they function really well. I would much prefer to have a much higher end Cox reel. They do have, so I'm talking about the plastic version. I do think they also make regular reels as well. They make some other things, some other equipment, but I'm pretty sure it's an Australian company imported here to the U.S. But let's see, retractable hose reels. They're good, but I don't think they're great. And it is an interesting reel, especially for a garden hose reel. But again, I would much rather have a self-winding Ely reel for what I'm using it for. But you can't go wrong with them. They're not. It's not a bad product. Let's see. Do you have JR's Properties? Do you have any recommendation for audio installers, tint installers, and or detailers in South Florida area? Let's see. If you're in, if you're willing to go over to Naples, that's where Bradley is. Bradley Nielsen and Naples Auto Armor. And then what's Brandon Hughes' company? He's super legit. Let's see, Brandon. Hughes Detailing in Stonegard, Miami. So go to at Hughes Detailing. He's in Miami. I know that he's legit. Works on a lot of high end cars. He does Modesta and Expel. I'm trying to think of who else. What's his name? Sorry, I'm forgetting a bunch of guys. For stereo, my audio system, the guys at E3 Customs in Fort Lauderdale did my, which is Chris's company is called the Third Garage. So I haven't seen it yet, but he's doing my system in my E36, the Third Garage on Instagram. It works very closely with the guys from E3 Customs, which can do your interior stuff. So check those guys out. Let's see. Ever try Rune? The integration with Tidal and Qobuz is fantastic. So Rune is a audio aggregation platform. Reminds me a lot of Kaleidoscape. I haven't spent any time with it, but I know that Kaleidoscape makes very little sense to me. I don't need organizing of my digital content, and I don't need organizing of my audio content. So I've kind of opened up Rune a couple of times, but I haven't used it. I just don't find the need for that because I'm not really organizing stuff. Maybe you can elaborate on that a bit, Colin. Alligator window tint. Look into IGL Eclipse for undercarriage. I have to find the right installer due to it being applied with a spray gun, but the product is legit. I have a hard time with believing anything from IGL is legit, But if Martin says it is, then I just get a real weird vibe. Like my spidey sense starts tingling when I walk anywhere near anything IGL, like their booth at SEMA. Maybe my spidey senses are wrong. My spidey senses were wrong about P&S, but I don't know. Something about it just doesn't seem right to me. Vinny B, $5. Thank you, sir. Hey, Matt, what car could you see yourself owning if you were in your 20s today? I would probably want a Supra, the new Supra. I know that's probably... Oh, yeah, Sean. Thank you. That's who I was thinking. Sean from Detail Geeks. Hit up Sean. He's a crazy person, so he can take care of you for that previous question. That's who I was trying to think of. Yeah, I would be in early 20s, so I'd probably be, working my face off. And I'd be willing to take on a pretty significant car loan note. I'd you try to find a used Supra, or even better, try to get a new one, get a loan, use that to motivate yourself. And I think that's the way to go. That's what I would do. All right, let's go back to the top here, unless you have some more super chats. When is the next episode of the Best Garage Ever coming? Should be. These videos are taking a massive amount of time to edit because of the massive amount of footage we took. I'm hoping today or maybe tomorrow, while I was actually working on it right this minute. So let's see. Obsessed Garage, I want to get in touch with you about a product that you might actually have interest for the garage store and use when turning wrenches. Dewey did it. Well, shoot me an email. You never know. It's highly unlikely. Are you shipping? Why are you shipping so expensive to Norway? This is from Patrick. It's not. We're not marking it up. I just saw a package. We shipped a Mosmatic gun and wand to Belgium, I believe. Was watching Robert the other day. It was yesterday. It was $54 US. So it's a $300 item. It costs $54 to ship it. If it's big, if it's weird shaped, it might cost $70 or $80 to ship something like that. It's what it costs. I don't know what people expect it to be. It would cost $25 to ship it to Colorado from here. So why wouldn't it cost 2 or 3 times more than that to ship to Europe? I mean, it's just I don't know what people expect. I'm just passing off the cost, and it's a highly discounted version of what it would be if you were trying to ship it. Let's see. I've had great success with Adams ceramic and graphene products. Yeah, but those are nowhere near the best products there are. Not even close. Stop using those. Adams is like 8 months into ceramic coatings or coatings in general. So I know B&B has been making them for a while, and they're really, Chris, who's the lead chemist there, is really sharp, but they are miles behind the car pros and the G-Technics of the world. I'm in search of a garden hose reel. Can I use the Cox reel? You can, but you want the Ely reel. I'm telling you, the Cox will work. It'll do okay, and we can make an adapter for it, but you want an Ely reel. The only reason you do the Cox is if it was like right next to your pressure washer reel and you wanted them all to match, which we can do for you, but I would say get the Ely. What would you do a right-hand drive BMW wagon? Definitely not. I have no interest in a right-hand drive car. Can you give us an update on Krenzel pressure washers? Online says end of November, but a few times during the podcast you mentioned January. So it depends on the pressure washer. If it's a K1122, depending on where you are in line, we're probably January. But there are containers coming. There's containers on the water. The 1322s should be here, and we should be able to fulfill a good chunk of them, if not all of them, depending on how many we sell this week. But I'm trying to set you up here and prepare you for what we're up against. Krenzel is having issues getting chip sets or whatever they need, and capacitors, and all the raw materials have been brutal. So, and they're trying to divvy it up throughout the world. So just keep that in mind. But I would think that I do know that there's a shipment of 1322s coming end of this month. So that usually means when they say end of this month, it usually means beginning of next month. But just try to eliminate it from your brain and just let us worry about it. I want you to have it. I want you to get it. I do not want you to cancel it. And so I would just urge you to don't stress about it. I know we all want it. I want it more than you do, because if I don't get it, then I'm going to go bankrupt. So just know, this is what I used to tell my clients in wealth management. Stop freaking worrying about it. I'm worrying about it enough for both of us. And that's saying with the greatest amount of love and admiration. I know it sounds dismissive and angry and arrogant, but that's not where it's coming from in my soul. It's coming from a place of pure obsession and desire to get it to you. So just keep that in mind. Another super chat. Let me go back to the bottom. Martin said it's the only product he'd use when we're talking about the IGL undercoating thingy, undercar coating. Taylor, $9.99. Thank you, sir. Matt, I need a process for cleaning the house. The car stayed dialed into your process, but I can't find a rhythm to cleaning the house. Well, it's called hire some lady to do it, or some guy to do it, is what I've done. So, I've kind of left that behind. I don't do that anymore. But I usually used to just do it like one room at a time, from top to bottom. So it's, even if you're not making a lot of money, it's not unreasonable to have somebody come and clean your house. It's something that has really afforded me the ability to go and focus on other areas. So having the grass cut, cleaning the house are two major time expenses that I've been able to pass off, that I used to believe that I could never let anybody do that for me. And they don't do nearly as good of a job as I would on my own. But I've had to just kind of let that go and let them do it. El Rey says, I have a 2008 911 C2S, so that's a 997.1. I'm getting HRE R101s next month. Great wheels. Do you think it's a good time to get new coilovers? Would it make a difference? What do you think? I don't like to mess with Porsche suspensions personally. I would get the wheels on there. I'm generally not a proponent of putting wheels on any car without lowering it first. But I would get the wheels on there and see what it looks. Porsche's the one exception where a lot of times you can put the wheels on the car and have it, look pretty decent without having to lower it. A Carrera S probably does need to be lowered. And if I was going to do a suspension, again, I would contact the guys at Dundee Motorsports and ask them what to do on that car for suspension for street. But it would probably be some form of Öhlins, Öhlins DFV or Road and Track on there. But I would give those guys a call and ask them what they think. Tell them Seth Garage sent you, and they'll take care of you. Matt, do you like the new Volk wheels and tire setup you got for the Raptor? I like the tires a lot. They're Falcon Peak. What are they? Falcon something Peak. It'll come to me in a minute. They're all the Falcon all-terrains. They're nice. They look good. They perform well. It transformed the truck. We gained 2 miles per gallon in comparison to having those big old mud terrains and big wide offsets. It steers better. It's so much more comfortable. It doesn't make any noise anymore. But the Volks on that truck, I should have done bronze. It just looks... I do have to paint the hubs, because there's no hub. There's no center cap for those wheels. The truck needs something different. In order for those wheels to look really great, it needs to be changed like I plan on doing. So right now I'm not in love with them, but it's okay. Okay, let's see. Mike C., what can you put the active pressure washer on? A decent detailing cart, etc. Yeah, you can mount the active on a cart. You can mount it on a shelf. You just have to kind of do a little bit of modification. I haven't done it yet, but it ought to be pretty easy to do. Apollo says, based on the concerns over inflation and devaluation of the U.S. dollar, what percentage of one's investment portfolio should keep in gold and silver? I'm not a proponent of metals, investing in metals for a couple of reasons. One, Yes, it would be used as an inflationary hedge, and yes, your portfolio probably has some gold and silver commodity in it, in paper form or in digital form now. The problem, if you were going to actually buy, and I don't think he's talking about this, but a lot of people would buy actual hard commodity, the hard gold, bullion, or silver. The problem with that is you would just need that for the doomsday scenario, I guess, which I would probably recommend you invest in bullets instead. But the gold commodity, the actually having physical bullion or coins, when you purchase it, you're paying 10, 12, 15, 20, 30% in fees. You're overpaying for it. And then when you need to liquidate it, you're going to pay 10, 20, 30, 40% in devaluing, so that the wholesaler that's buying from you can make a profit. And so if you think fees are expensive on mutual funds, my gosh, buying raw gold and silver is crazy expensive. But as far as you making that decision on what percentage you should have in that, I would pass that off to somebody immediately. And if your financial advisor is making that decision, he doesn't know what he's doing either. That decision, I believe, should be passed off to a fund manager, or in the form of a sort of an aggregated ETF portfolio using some sort of algorithm. So I would be passing that off so fast that your head would spin. I would be making those decisions at all. And if you are, I think you're wasting a lot of your time because you have no idea what you're talking about. If you got something right, that tends to cloud your judgment, and that you always forget what you got wrong. And so I would never, in my case, I never once and never will call my financial advisor and say, hey, I want to buy this or that, or you should buy this or that, or I want you to reallocate the portfolio. I will never do that. Just let it, just keep adding money and let it do its thing, and let him use his whatever system he has, which is probably not perfect. Know that it's going to lose money when the market's down and make money when the market's up. And over time, if you lose less when the market's down and you make your fair share on the upside, you can make market-like returns with less risk. It's pretty simple. So yeah, I think you should pass that buck if you can. Let's see. Zachary Hammond. I was referring to Mike. Mike, it's honestly not that good of a pressure washer in the long run. I found that the pressure regulator switch configuration is built to fail. No, the Active is what we expect it to be, and the nice thing about it is it's going to continue to improve, and the best part about it is they're going to continue to support it. So they understand they're going to have a certain percentage of failure rate as they figure out and improve the thing. It's a newer pressure washer, hasn't been around for very long. So with you guys, pressure tester, or I don't want to say pressure testing, that's a bad term, but with you guys out testing it out and really putting it through its paces, we're finding things that need to be improved, and they'll take care of you. But yeah, it's not a good pressure washer. It's a $200 pressure washer. You want something good, you're going to spend $1,000. Let's see. Hey, Matt, this is Lorenzo. With your experience with the CarPro combo of Deluxe and Gliss on the wheels, what kind of finish does it leave? More like a shiny glossy, typical ceramic coating, or deep classic wax look finish? It doesn't look like much. Now, I've only done it on the matte wheels. It just kind of darkens it up a little bit. So it's not going to make things shiny. So it's, I would say, less than a typical ceramic or coating. But yeah. Let's see. Dominic says, any comments about Ed selling his $35,000 Lambo that's not perfect? Just a video, what you would do with it on the VinWiki channel. So he paid $35,000 and he's selling this. Ed's cars are garbage. He knows they're garbage. He talks about them being garbage. Well, now he can't talk about them being garbage because he's trying to sell them all. Ed and Freddie are up to something probably big. They're probably buying some compound or something like that. But yeah, those cars are junk. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole, And I've seen them all up close. Let's see. Hope that Obsessed Garage makes its way here to the Philippines. I'd like to get there someday. Have a distribution center there. I know I'd have great employees. I know that there are many of you that love detailing. and garages, and I know that we could do okay there, do pretty well there, and I know it would be really well received. So I would really like to get there someday. I've never been there. Maybe someday I get there, but I'm not very well traveled. Let's see. I see you have progress with Destination OG on the Facebook group, and you are doing real estate as a business. How is that side business going? Well, I talked about Destination OG. It's a longer term plan for me. We're going to be building my house here first, I think. We're going to share that process, and that's going to teach us the formula for how to build houses elsewhere that then we'll put up for borrowing for money in the future. But I haven't done anything yet. Let's see. I should get my freaking real estate license. What I should do. It'll take about 5 minutes to get that. Robert Hannon just got a Tesla. It's cool, but the amount of attention it gets from other people is annoying and almost not worth it. Do you feel the same? It's funny. I get way more attention in the Tesla than I do in any other car. So it's part of the deal. Tint the windows dark, and depending on the town you're in, on how much attention you get. If you're in like Los Angeles, they're everywhere. But if you're in a normal town like I am, or maybe Robert is, it does get quite a bit of attention. Apollo says, if you could reset your Porsche ownership experience and start over again, what's the one Porsche you would buy to keep based on fun factor and value for the money? I mean, lots of people love the Boltster version, like the Boltster Spider, which like the GT4 variant of the sort of the convertible topped GT4. I think the Cayman is the car. The naturally aspirated Cayman is the best Porsche for the money. And then the 911 is the aspiration. That's what you still want a 911, but I think that the GT4 is the car, or even like a Cayman S, Cayman GTS. Matt, in your opinion, do you think it's necessary to use interior protectant? Absolutely not. On leather, you want to use some basic like leather shield from Color Lock, but you don't want to be coating stuff. Shouldn't need to do that, and the materials in your interior are not designed to accept that kind of stuff. I do not do that. So, but yes, we do ship to the Philippines every week, but it'd be nice if we had a distribution center. Is blue toilet water white trash fancy, or just good housekeeping? That's pretty much the epitome. It makes me immediately think trailer park in 1987 when I think of that. So I would say that's white trash fancy. Another super chat, Cody B. I noticed I put the AR pressure washer in your last build. You happy with it? Pros and cons. I haven't used it yet. I need to go get some water if we're going to be doing this marathon here. I haven't used it in that configuration. At first, we just fired it up for 1 second. It was really loud, louder than it normally is, and so this probably has to do with us bolting into the wall. So we're probably going to have to adjust a bit. And maybe put some dampers. Like Tommy got me some little damping, little like rubberized bushings. So we may have to do something like that. So we might take it down and try again. But I need to use it and see how it goes. But in 1 second, I could tell that the Krenzla is what you want. I know people are enamored by the AR, but you want a Krenzla if you can make it happen. I'm telling you. Let's see. Go back up to the top here. Let's see. I know this is a bit off topic, but I know you were in finance. What's your opinion on cryptocurrency? Love videos. Grew a massive love for Porsches from watching them. So this is from Civic SI guy. I've talked about this here and there over the years. I'm not an early adopter on anything. Or very rarely. I'm a chaser of great things, functionally excellent things, and so I don't early adopt. I don't look for. I don't look to, and this may be a mistake. I like I talked about earlier. I don't have. I don't have the gene that allows me to make good predictions and good guesses. I don't gamble. The only gamble I do is on like a product that I think people are going to want, and that isn't really a gamble because I already know I want it, and so if I want it, other people want it. And so crypto. There's a video of me teaching Adam LZ how to wash his 335, and he asked about crypto, and I said it's nonsense. It's nonsense in the sense that he wanted to buy it, which was to get rich and make money. And so where crypto becomes viable is if it's an actual currency, if it's a usable format that, I think there is a high probability, much higher probability than ever in history, where Rome falls, which is the U.S. And so, thank you, sir. The transition from the U.S. dollar as the international currency standard is hopefully being modernized into a cryptocurrency format. I think a bunch of it's nonsense, but something like Ethereum and Bitcoin does have some validity of decentralizing and pulling it away from the current archaic, overly regulated system that could very easily, that's very fragile and could very easily collapse and then require us to redo or remake. And so it seems that the craze, and this has happened many times, think about the internet, where a craze or a fad garners a ton of attention, which brings money to the equation and brings interest. And so it could very realistically, what we've seen in this craze of crypto and how it all works, and the attention it's gotten could take it from this speculative mess to a viable currency. And anybody who has some crazy weirdo overly excited take on it, and they start yelling and screaming at you and stuff about it, they're idiots. I don't listen to any of them. But from a and I also don't listen to the bank, who is run by a bunch of 50-year-old white dudes that are on their way out. They're 60-year-old white dudes now that are on their way out and don't really care and just want to make as much as they can before they go somewhere else, like the grave. You don't listen to both of those sides, and you kind of try to formulate an assessment somewhere in the middle. And to me, I bought 25 grand on Coinbase Pro, and just kind of figured out basically what it's all about and how it works, and try to understand swaps a bit and talk to a couple of friends who have been interested in it. I don't have enough interest to really chase it. I think you can go in there and make money doing it if you immerse your life into it and you take money from other stupid speculators that are lazy and trying to get rich off of it. So if you're intending for it to be an investment, I think that's a bunch of nonsense. But I think if you're intending for it to become a viable currency that you use, then I think that again, unless you're making that your career and that's your obsession and that's the niche area that you're obsessed with, I think that it's something that you maybe buy some just to stay relevant, but you forget this idea of getting rich off of it. You may, but you're probably not going to. And so stop the get rich stuff and really get rich by doing something important. Will the Apex Air Stubby only work with a 580? No, it works with all of them, every single one of them. So the Stubby is, I just posted a video on Instagram. Go check it out. It's live. It's alive, and now they have to just crank them out. What's your favorite orange pad and black pad for polishing? Well, neither. I want a yellow pad from Rupes, and that's really all you need. Yellow, maybe white. White would be the finest version. So yellow and white, and then a Meguiar's microfiber cutting pad will get pretty much anything you need done. Let's see. Super chat in my question number above. Got that. I'll make sure there aren't super chats. If you want to super chat me, then get my attention here. Let's see. Let's keep rolling through here. Where was I? Okay, back up to the top. What's your favorite brand? Oh, yeah, I just did that. Matt, what's your recommendation on Bluetooth portable speaker for the wife to use room-to-room streaming Pandora? Not heavy to move. First of all, punt Pandora. Teach her how to get Spotify. Pandora's junk. And move to Spotify. But as Matt Duffy said, she wants a Music 3. Either a Music 1, if she really doesn't care about audio. The Music 1 is a little bit smaller. or if you can swing it for $500, the Music 3 is freaking awesome. It's battery powered and sounds incredible. Let's see. Dakota says, if you have to pick between getting stuck in a shipping channel or hosting my 30th birthday party, what would you pick? I would skip your birthday for sure. Yeah, Peyton says bad 3 or 5. The 5 is not battery powered. The 3 is Music 3. Dynaudio Music 3. Any plan on building Milwaukee Packout? 100% yes. I'm in love with those things. It's coming soon. Let's see. Wolf or Miele? I don't like the look of Miele. I would guess that Miele is higher quality, German manufacturer, German engineered appliances. I just don't like the way they look. And I love how Wolf looks, and I like how it functions. So I'm a Wolf Sub-Zero guy. But I would probably wager that Miele is better quality. Matt, did you get your GT3 Touring from Porsche Wilmington? I'm on the list, hopefully late 2022 delivery. Yes, I did. And I've had that allocation or had that on the list for a Touring for quite some time, many years, since before the GT4. Matt, how are plans coming from the new house? Really great. I am going to meet with them to go over our elevation as well as our start to work on the real plans here, like the engineering and truss design and all that stuff. So we're meeting with them on Monday. I close on the lot that I bought, which was next door to my old house, on Tuesday. Let's see. Paul says, as someone who's invested heavily in Milwaukee Packouts, what would you recommend for an open bottom workbench for me to store Packout boxes, drawers underneath? DIY with one of your tops. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of ways you can do it. The Sonic system would work well for that. You would just do the bridge. They have a bridge, or you could do Sabre or really any cabinet and just leave an open area. And then when your Packout's not in there, that could be, you could have a stool, like get a Viper chair, and you could use that to sit and do stuff, at that as a workbench there. Put your laptop there. So I think that's what I would do. Or I would build out some sort of corner to store my Packout stuff. The other thing that I might consider is getting a tall closet. So I'm going to be figuring all those things out. Where am I going to put my Packout when I build it? Let's see. Bo says, your ability to build wealth has been inspiring. Well, I don't know how much wealth I've built yet. I've built a lot of equity. I've built a lot of revenue. My wealth hasn't changed very much since I left wealth management. In other words, I haven't, well, I guess it has, but I haven't saved all that much because I continue to invest it back in. And so at some point here, what I'd like to do, one of my goals, is I need to start extracting from the business and put it aside and actually build my personal wealth, not to get rich and be a miser, but to make it so that this place is bulletproof so I could swoop in and protect it or save it if the going ever got tough. And so he's saying, so both saying, would like some wealth building tips. I work in advertising and wanting to get above the 100K mark. What are your tips for getting there? So I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been thinking about it with my early guys like Chris and Kyle and Bryce, and I've been thinking about obviously all the newer people that have come and what's their path. And I realized that I've spent a lot of time in my head building their path, building what they want. Well, I never really ask them what they want. So I'm going to sit them all down in the next several months and just say, hey, what do you actually want? Because I'm doing this wrong. The path, I think, and this changing as the world evolves, the path to making, to having a career or having a spot or having a justifiable large salary, 100, 200, 300, $400,000, oftentimes is underworked and overpaid. I would argue not a high percentage of the time, but sometimes you can get lucky. You can end up with you're taking little risk, and you just pick the right field, and you just you got lucky. You got in the right company, and you got rich by not working all that hard, or you got a high salary by not working all that hard. But I would wager that a large percentage, like 90+% of the time, in order to get there, if you're in advertising, that you're going to have to make choices. You're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to make a choice. What do I value more? Do I value time? Do I value being at every soccer game and football game? Do I balance it and say, I'm there most of the time or as much as I can? I'm using kids as an example, but do I, what do I really value? What do I really want? Do I care about staying at the Ritz-Carlton when I'm 50? Do I want to do what's required to get me there? And everybody wants to stay at the Ritz-Carlton. Everybody wants a GT3 if it's given. But do you really want, do you really want what's required to get there? And I just assumed that was the answer to everybody. The answer is yes, 100%, absolutely. I want to get there. I want to have that. I also want to have a family. I want to have the enough, at least enough balance to maintain that and be a good good parent and be a good husband or wife, and I want to be a good friend to people. But I also want I want a GT3. And I would tell you, I would stop thinking about a number. 100,000 may not be enough. 100,000 may be limiting yourself. I used to have that number too. So, my 5-year plan. I'm going to get a girl. I'm going to get an M3, and I'm going to make $100,000. That was my 5-year goal when I graduated from college. And I didn't have any plan after that. That's the whole reason why I don't do goals anymore, because that goal was so limiting. And I blew through that pretty quickly. And then what? So I reached the destination. Then what do I do? So I would argue you drop that dollar number. And then, you figure out, I think the bigger question is, what do you want? Do you want to build real wealth? Do you want to build real things and real value for the world? And what sacrifice are you willing to make in order to get there? And this is where I've had this epiphany, like, it's okay either way. It's okay if you don't want it. It's okay if you reach a point where you're comfortable. You just need to make sure that you're clear on that with the people that are driving you, because what will happen is most people that do have some blind ambition will abuse and abuse you. You'll feel used and abused, but they're trying to push you. They're attempting to push you to the next level, because that's what they think that's what they want. So they think that everybody else wants that too, and so you have to just figure out what you're willing to sacrifice in order to get there. For me, I was willing to sacrifice and am still willing to sacrifice a lot. Now there's some balance there. I make most of my kids' sporting events. What I don't do, and I probably should, is I don't do vacations and stuff like that. My vacation is here. I love it. I love being here. I love doing this. I love being on the chasing products and things like that. And so, if you want to build real wealth, you need to figure out, is advertising what you're passionate about? If it's not, get a better job. I've talked about this on Inside the Hex. Work toward the path of getting a better job, and that better job might be more appropriate. And then try to self-assess, and this may change over time. Self-assess, where are you at? What do you really want? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? How much effort are you willing to put in to get where you want to get to? And don't set a goal because you'll limit it, especially if you're on the ambitious path. And then wealth will just come. Don't waste any time on your wealth. I've wasted no time at all. Almost zero time on what is my wealth. And by that, I will probably get lots of wealth, because wealth is a result. Wealth is not the activity. Wealth is a result. Like a wealth of knowledge, your knowledge is a result. Your knowledge is a result of the pursuit of it. The dollars in your bank account are a result of your pursuit of it, not the action of. And this goes back to the whole thing when I was discussing with Apollo about allocation of gold and silver and stuff like that. And these are the lessons I've learned over seeing many people make mistakes with their money. They make their money their pursuit, and you don't want that. You want the pursuit to be the pursuit, and you want to back into how are you going to figure out how the money is going to be result from that. I buy hundreds of thousands of dollars of Milwaukee stuff instead of taking those hundreds of thousands of dollars and put it in my bank account. And then I hire some people to help me create it and to produce it, which creates an opportunity for them. And then I turn that Milwaukee many times, and then before you know it, that Milwaukee has generated a couple of $1 million, of which I could extract $750,000 out of that, and then just keep turning the Milwaukee and keep turning it into future return. And so the wealth is generated as a result of my love of Milwaukee in this case. Now, this is a retail example, curated retail example, but what is your labor example? For instance, you can use Kyle as an example. Kyle, invests time in building out a design firm inside of Obsessed Garage. So he doesn't own his own business, but he's able to carve out a path inside of Obsessed Garage, and then he's going to have to make a choice. What sacrifices does he want to make? Does he want to take every waking hour of his life and design garages every second of every day? Or would he rather maybe hire somebody, give up some of his future potential for, and if he does it right, he might actually be able to work less and make more, but that may take longer. There'd be a longer tail to get there. Now, if I'm in Kyle's seat, I'm doing it where I'm blindly running myself into the ground and ruining my life because I wouldn't be able to shut it off. And that's certainly not the right way to do it. So there's a balance there. Now, if he builds out the design and does more designs and finds more customers and does it where he's going out and actually generating his own relationships, that's more valuable than if he's just taking the calls from people that are calling in from the videos. So there's a balance there as well. And so this is a conundrum that we all have in our career paths. How do I create a result by doing something, and hopefully you can do something you really like doing, because then you'll do more of it. Because Bo says in the follow-up, he says, I really want to have more for my family and more for car detailing gear. And there's the question, how much are you willing to pursue and to chase and to show value and to, like Tommy here is a great example of somebody who, he's in there packing boxes right now or picking when that's not even his job, because he's worked nights and weekends on his job. And so, Tommy has different aspirations than maybe I would or somebody else would. He's in there, chasing, and Jeff's here, trying to figure out how to become, an expert on social media platforms and how to share our story with people. And then if he invests an infinite amount of time in that, then that would generate, a better result for him. If he invests a small amount of time in that, it would generate less of a result for him. And so that's something that you kind of have to work through and figure out, what you really want. And then how do you balance it where you don't alienate everybody around you, and you still have friends and family and a life. That's the tricky part. That's the part that I don't really know how to do. I just got so lucky in that I met Michelle, and she had very similar aspirations as me, and then made that transition of her aspiration to our children when she kind of let go, because she was on a path to go become either a doctor or like a major college coach. Let's see. Is it Alanon72 says, what are your thoughts on PNS Dreammaker potential to be beadmaker replacement? I need to get a bottle and try it out. I haven't tried it yet. Again, I don't get super excited about new products, but I will try it eventually. Again, I'm not much of an early adopter. So anyway, good question by Bo. Sorry, I got a little deep there. Hey Matt, when you lived in PA, did you ever visit Manayunk or Jim Thorpe? Yes, I've been to Jim Thorpe many times, and it's a little weird, but yes. Is he talking about what's a Mauchunk? I don't know what that is, but Jim Thorpe, yes. Maybe it's the same place. I use the Ego blower for yard work. Will it blow dirt or dust on your car later? No, it will not. It doesn't suck up anything. It's just moving air. So, no, it'd be fine. Good morning, Matt. Question on lifts. I have 10-foot ceilings in my garage, and I'm not sure if that is enough to justify the purchase. I would consider cutting the floor to help give me the added height. Yeah, I mean, 10 foot is fine. I mean, if you think about this logically, let's say your new Spalm's Jumbo 7. So the Jumbo 7 goes up to 74 inches. So that's 74, and then your your average car, like an M3, I think is 55 inches high. So let's say 60 inches high. So that's 134 divided by 12. So that's 11 feet. So you wouldn't be able to go all the way up, but still you would be able to take your car lift. You'd be able to get your car in the air. So that's what 12, 13, 14 inches less. So you'd be able to get your car 60 inches in the air still, so 5 feet in the air. So that's still quite useful, and so I think that absolutely makes sense. Now recessing it helps move it out of the way so you don't lose that spot, and it's really easy to use. So yeah, I mean, I was going to do, mine has 10-foot 4-inch ceiling, so I was going to do the full rise lift in there, and it's good to go. Ty P, with your finance background, how heavily are you still investing in ETFs? I think probably half of my money is in ETFs, maybe a little more, a little less. Maybe not half because I have a bunch of cash from buying inventory and stuff. ETFs are a version, a passive version of investing. I mean, there are some active ETFs, but they're not particularly very good in most cases. So I don't really want to get into the negatives. The pro of an ETF is it's efficient. It's easy to sell. You can sell it intraday, whereas a mutual fund would sell at close of business. ETFs generally have a lower cost component to them. The con to ETF is it's a bunch of bogus crap. There's a lag in the actual physical creation. A mutual fund, those shares are held in a custodial account on behalf of the assets. So when a mutual fund manager gets $100 million in, he has to buy the assets. Where an ETF, there is creation and destruction of shares virtually of the security. Now, theoretically, eventually, when Vanguard gets $100 million in the Vanguard, S&P 500 ETF, or is that VTX or something like that, they have to eventually back it with the underlying shares of the S&P 500. But it takes some time, and there's some creation and destruction of shares, and so there's a bit of nonsense there. You'll notice there's a spread on ETFs as well. There's a bid and ask spread, where a mutual fund doesn't have a bid-ask spread. It's mark to market every day. So a mutual fund is much more honest and true and real versus an ETF that has quite a bit of virtual component to it, which puts it at risk. We saw it several times historically where there was a fat finger day where spreads widened like 20, 30%. And so people were able to scoop in and buy, shares for much, much less than what they were actually worth, because there was a bid-ask spread change when there was a massive, order accidentally put in by a hedge fund, which triggered all kinds of program trading. And so there was a massive flood of shares. They disallowed almost all those trades. But there is a risk there that when there are only willing sellers and no willing buyers, that you can have the bid and ask spread widen massively and cause all kinds of problems. And so you do need to, I think, stay with ETFs that have much thicker trading. So ETFs are more sophisticated than the average ETF investor understands. But there is a traditional mutual fund. There are some disadvantages to that as well. You can't sell it intraday. And, mutual funds are more costly. But screw this whole cost. Don't get cheap on investing. Who cares if it costs 1.5%? I pay my guy 1% to manage the money, and then the underlying investments probably have an average annual expense of somewhere around 7 or 8 tenths. If you blend mutual funds and ETFs and some of the other management fees in there. But who freaking cares? We get all wound up about that. I'd pay 2% gladly to not have to deal with it. So anyway, that would be my argument. So don't get cheap. Don't be at Vanguard and not know what you're doing, versus hiring someone at Morgan Stanley or Merrill Lynch that kind of knows what they're doing, at least knows better than you do about what you're doing. So I would recommend that. So that's my ETF take. Let's see. If I use the ego blower, so we already talked about that. It's time to wash wheels with just dish soap. Is it a crime to wash wheels with just dish soap? The problem with dish soap is that this is that there's a surfactant in there that and a detergent in there that's going to leave something behind. That's why your hands don't feel all beat up. It leaves a residue behind, which you don't want. John Stigter says, Matt, the internet overall, is it good or bad for society? I think for me it's been fantastic. It's annoying to see some of the things that go on here today, but I think the internet is overall a good societal thing. I think we have to figure it out. We're only 20, 25 years into it, so it's still in its infancy. But we're figuring it out. There's some certain downsides to it, and the clear distinction is that it is helping speed up the evolution of the status quo. You can see whether you agree or disagree with that evolutionary change. There is very clearly a cultural shift, which I largely don't like to see. But this, hopefully society and the sort of evolution of society is improved for the better. It's kind of hard to argue against. The biggest difficulty I think most of us have is it's kind of hard to argue against the system that we've created, the system that the forefathers of the United States created is very clearly the best, although deeply flawed, very clearly the best system that's ever existed in the world. And yet we want to tear it down and rip it apart. We don't, but some people apparently do. It is frustrating a bit. But I think by and large, I've personally, as a somewhat introverted individual, with the exception of selective extroversion when it comes to these material things that I think are really interesting, there's been a lot of massive positive impact for me. I'll never be able to build a business like this without the connectivity of internet and social platforms overall. I just wish. I love Facebook. I love Instagram. I love the interaction there. I wish that there was no algorithm and it was just a live feed. Just give me a live feed of the things that I choose to follow when it's posted. Stop this algorithm nonsense, and then just put your advertisements in the middle of that. And you can use the algorithm to figure out what to advertise to me. I don't care about that. It is a violation of privacy, but ask me for permission to do that, and I'll give it to you. And then let me follow who I want to follow in the feed that I want to follow, instead of them choosing who what I get to see. And so I've been using DuckDuckGo a lot instead of Google for my search engine, and not because I'm trying to hide. I've also been using a VPN a lot as well, just because I'm tired of getting, I don't want the algorithm. I want to look at what I want to look at. Robert Blair, Canadian $6.99. Thank you, sir. It's probably about $5 US. Appreciate that. Greetings from Canada. Have you tested the M18 shop vac, and if so, what are your thoughts on it? I have. I don't love it. That's why I didn't carry any of the vacuums. I got all of them. I didn't carry the vacuums from that, the cordless ones. I just don't think they're great. I don't think they're great at all. I just saw something. Somebody said there was a big loss yesterday. The market going down a lot. Yeah, whatever. It seems like a big loss, but it's down. 2.5% is not a big loss, so stop freaking out about that. All right, let's go back up here. Where was I? This is fun. I could do this all day. My butt's starting to hurt, though. I'm kind of gone through the comfy spot of the chair. Matt, I got the 1/2-inch hammer drill and 1/4-inch hex impact driver combo and 3/8-inch ratchet. What do you recommend for my next 3 tools? 1/2-inch hammer drill. Didn't I just answer this the other day? 1/2-inch hex impact driver. Next one is the mid torque. So you want the mid torque tool. You want the Milwaukee heat gun. And I think you want... the D handle circular saw, the rear handle circular saw, which is an expensive one for you, but that's what you want. Hey, Matt, good morning from Canada. Yesterday's live show was tons of fun. Thank you, sir. When I see all that hard work, I feel totally fine ordering from abroad. Thanks, man. Well, hopefully I can solve that problem here soon. That's the reason I share this stuff, is to be, I think smart people can sniff out authenticity. And I don't think I need to hide what I'm doing here. I'm trying to build something freaking giant and trying to get rich as heck doing it. But again, the getting rich part is a result of the pure chase and passion I have for this stuff. So anyway, Matt, have you considered the USA-made Heil microphones for your podcast installation? I don't like those microphones. I don't like to have to use a pop filter either. That's why I like the Shure mic so much. Let's see. And I think they look kind of dorky too. Let's see. But they are great mics. I did consider those. Thomas Cook, now that you have your house dialed in, are you staying? Absolutely not. I'm trying to get out of there as quickly as humanly possible, but it'll still be a couple of years. It is nice to be somewhat done, though. Why design a new DI system? I mean, if you have a business and the means, why not just rent a large system? The systems are ugly. I want like something that's more serviceable, that looks better, that I can do myself. I don't like services in most instances. And so we want to make something that looks great. Matt, what do you think that the ammo, Larry. Yeah, Larry's great. He's a savant. He's a genius. He's not a genius detailer. He's just a detailer, but he's a genius human. And I like him a lot. Thomas, he's plot next to this old house. Yeah, let's see, John. You ever used a DE razor? It's a game changer. I don't know what that is, so no, I have not. Must be a fancy face razor. Hey Matt, I took your advice and got a better job. I approached my boss and was given a leadership position. Thank you for life advice. Well, good luck, man. That's what you do. Sometimes you just have to, don't ask for the job, but just say, here's what I'm hoping. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I'd like to do. And I think most people in a position of power would appreciate knowing that. So, let's see. Mr. Gray, EV. I have XPEL Stealth in my white Tesla Model 3, and it's coated with XPEL Fusion. What is your recommendation to maintain the satin look, but at the same time not hurt the ceramic? Just use... I would just use the Dr. Beasley's line. We have a matte car care package. I would get that, and I would just stick with that. So use the Dr. Beasley stuff for that. Do you think Power Lock in 845 is still viable? Yeah, it certainly is, but I wouldn't use it as much. Def Leppard. I did like Def Leppard a lot when I was a kid. Jane's addiction is whiny, terrible music. Five Finger Death Punch is kind of cool. This is from back when we talked about her. Hey, Matt, thoughts on Snap-on Foam Organizer? Anything Snap-on organization is not good. I haven't seen it, but I'm guarantee it's probably, or I'm guessing, I don't guarantee, I'm guessing it's junk. Snap-on stuff like that is just not good. Anything outside of their tools, I'm not a fan. Are there any American cars that you're excited about? No. The Rivian, that's it. Let's see. If you use playlists and you need the ability to transfer between services, Song Shift works well. I don't use playlists. I probably should. The BMW M5 F10, it's a heck of a package for performance and doubling up as a daily driver. What beats it, and did you enjoy it? The problem with it, it's a great daily driver for a single person, but then it becomes a really big car, so you might as well get the M3, but the back seats are useless in the M5, especially the F10. It's terrible. Will this be posted afterwards? Yes, it will. What are your thoughts on home automation? I don't like it. I don't see the need. This is coming from a guy that was like in the 11th hour of making a decision where I was going to be the not the Southeast, but like the North Carolina area rep for Crestron. The problem with this stuff is it's gotten much better, and it really comes down to the installer, but it generally doesn't work, and it just becomes annoying. I just don't see the need. Like, I get you have a big house and there's lots of lights on. You want to be able to turn them all off, but is it worth $100,000 in the lighting control just to be able to turn the lights off? I just walk around the house and turn it off. I just don't find it necessary, and I don't want to have to, like, it's not something that I can do and fix. You have to be a advanced level programmer in order to make this stuff work, and then the dealers don't give you access to the software because they're afraid you're going to screw it up, and it's just not good. I don't like it at all. So, and I don't want to ask Alexa what the weather is. I carry this around. It's here. Why do I need to wire up a bunch of stuff in my house? I don't really love distributed audio either. I like audio in room by room, like in certain instances, like with a dedicated system for that. So I'm just not a big proponent of it. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm all for wasting money, but to me it's just a big old waste. So I don't like Elan, I don't like Control 4, I don't like Crestron, I certainly don't like any of the wannabe automated stuff, the white trash fancy crap like Amazon Alexa. Like, what are you doing with that? I've ranted on this a bunch. What are you doing? You just asking what the weather is? Hey, read me the news. Hey, I won't say the name because it'll mess you up, but hey, turn the lights off. How about just get up and turn the lights off? That's stupid. Have you considered the Rivian R1T? Yes, I have. Not the R1T, but I think of the R1S, which is the SUV type version. What's the oldest coating you got on a set of your wheels, and how is it holding up? I've found that I'm lucky to get 4 months. Yeah, you're right. If you're driving around a lot, the CSL Exo doesn't last very long. So that's why I transitioned back to a wheel coating. Let's see. The Car Pro Connoisseur says, I feel like IGL is kind of weird brand also. Yeah. It's really weird. Dude, sorry about the Raptor markup. I emailed you last week. The dealer isn't known for marking anything up. Yeah, I freaking punted him in 2 seconds. I said, before we go any further, are you marking this up? Well, yeah, we have to. It's such stupid logic. Well, because you could buy it and then sell it wholesale. You could make a profit. Who freaking cares? I'm not doing that. But what does that got to do with you? You're the dealer. You're not supposed to do that. It's stupid. Now, what happened to the Mountain House? We didn't get that one. They didn't want to play ball. They wanted me to pay $800 more than it praised for. Bought a Flex from you guys yesterday, PXE 80. I have a Rupes LHR 15 Mark III. This is from Dan Sigmund. I like the idea of cordless, but don't see any videos on the PXE 80. Is it okay sub for XFE 7-12? It's not. You're not going to like the PXE 80 in 3-inch mode in comparison. The XFE has so much more torque and power. It works, but you're not going to love it. I do like the XFE 15, which is nice. But yeah, it won't be a replacement. It'll be an addition. Matt wanted to know what kind of pillow do you use. I use that Columbia Cool something or other. Yeah, Columbia Cool is the one. Love that thing. But, others made some comments. I mean, for some people, it doesn't work. You have pillows. Depends on how you sleep. Yeah, Wild Peak all-terrains were the tires that I have. Have you ever been a fan of the stance aspect in car suspension? No, air suspension is the dumbest thing ever. Immediately, you don't know anything about cars as soon as I see that. Why would you do that when you could just set the car up looking great with a regular suspension and actually have it drive around the road and do well? So no, it's dumb. Let's see. What says robot vacuum and robot mover? Yes, I still have to clean a little. Yeah, do not do frickin' robot vacuums. That's the epitome of white trash fancy. It's dumb as crap. Let's see. These questions were a long time ago. Active has been great. Yeah. Have you considered using USA made? We already talked about that. Just got my Taycan delivered. It's garage, but I wanted to protect the leather as much as possible. It's the best protection for UV protection. Best protection is window tint. Everything else is a bunch of nonsense. But use a leather shield from Color Lock. So mild cleaner with a brush and then leather shield application once every 6 months. Question for everyone. Can you spray can clear coat on polished aluminum? I'm not sure about that. Can you talk about the planning for the Atlanta garage and the timeline from idea to install? Seems like it had a massive... seemed like it had to be a massive something for your team. Yeah, a project for your team. I think Kyle said we started the process with John, the owner, in like a year and a half ago, and then the actual production of the garage started probably 6 months prior, where they actually started building the garage, and then we booked our time, and then we went up there for a week. So it's about a year and a half. I would say probably maybe 25, 30 hours of prep, on our side to put together what we needed, and then probably another 10 or 15 hours of ordering and getting things, invoicing and all of that stuff. And then, of course, we had hundreds of hours of install, just on our end. So what 10K vintage Porsche would you get for a father-son project? I don't think there's anything for 10K unless it was, I think you're more like 100K to start, but I don't know much about that. Have you tried Gliptone liquid leather from the UK? I have not, but that doesn't sound great. Brian Rivard, I coated my daughter's car a year ago with CSL XO. It's been washed at least twice every month, and the coating still looks great. Should I decon wash and do another layer of XO yet? You could try it. You just want to, what does it feel like? If you feel any crunchies, like if it doesn't feel super slick, I wouldn't put another coat on. I'd be inclined to just ride it out until it starts to not bead water anymore, and just do a light polishing and polish it off and reapply is what I would suggest. Let's see. Our lunch is here, so maybe we'll take a break and keep rolling. I got nothing to do. It's like I'm here and I don't know what to do because I'm not any good at any of the stuff that all the guys are doing with packing and all that stuff. They want me out of there. Let's see. So we talked about the Atlanta garage. Is the giveaway for the SDR still a possibility? I'd like to do it. I just need to find a replacement. So I need a Gen 3 Raptor at MSRP is what I really need. Because the Rivian wouldn't be delivered. Even if I ordered it, wouldn't be delivered for a long time. Any chance you'll make the GT3 event in April, Brian? I would love to. I'm still having a hard time driving. Gosh, I would love to so much. So I hope so, but it's not looking good. Let's see. Can you cut and shorten the cord on the AR630 without affecting the unit? Yeah, we did that. I mean, technically, you're voiding the warranty on the power cord, but you're sort of doing it at your own risk. But it's a low risk modification. But yeah, we'll have that in a video here shortly how we did it. What's the best product for making windshield washing fluid? Angel Wax Vision? No, it's not good. Putting the McKees in and dilute it, I think the same dilution you would do for, which is what 128 to 1, I think, is the way to go. Will you sell your GT3 RS or GT4? I'm sure I'll sell it at some point someday. What's your take on Kamikaze products? I think Kamikaze has the potential to be great. I have a lot of friends who have used it professionally. Esoteric is the exclusive distributor for it. I think, from what I understand, Kai, and I've met him a couple of times. Who is he's the Kamikaze guy. He's like a soul guy and has a couple of buddies that work for him. But he's very protective of his formulas, and so I think there are times where his raw materials are lacking or there are substitutes, and so there are periods where the coating has it's such a niche, such a like almost homemade product that it either sometimes doesn't turn out as well. And so it's something that I wouldn't have been able to get enough of it, and then Esoteric decided they weren't interested in and partnering on that kind of thing, and so I didn't really have a choice. But that was before I discovered G-Technic, and just the G-Technic has been 100% of the time, and I love it. It's it's much slicker, so that's the deal. I do have to get to my Instagram question, so thanks for reminding me. Ask anything he's hiding from us. Better rename it to Ask Nothing. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Hey, Chief, what would be the best products to wash wheels on a vehicle like vehicle monster like a ZL1 LE? That has a large amount of brake dust? I would still use some Brake Buster and occasionally hit it with Iron X or Iron Buster. Occasionally do that maybe once a month to help with the brake dust. But if you keep them clean, wash them once a week, then the brake dust shouldn't be a problem, especially if you coated your wheels. And stop referring to your Camaro as a monster. It's not. It's just a freaking Camaro. Yesterday the crew made a mutiny and expelled Captain Matt to Desert Island so he couldn't ruin operations. Yes. Do you have a dedicated purchasing manager at OG? Sort of. Ted and Chris and Brad work on it, but at some point we're likely going to have to. Why shouldn't you use Armor All? Why would you? They don't know anything about detailing. That left them behind 35 years ago. It's junk. After the big loss yesterday due to the new COVID global fears, where are markets headed over the winter months? Who cares? Keep doing your life and don't worry about the market, and you'll do much, much better. That would be my suggestion. Do you clean the inside of the wash and rinse buckets each time you use them? What is the maintenance after each time you wash and rinse bucket? I do not. I probably clean them once a month, just kind of take the grit guard out and take my hand and swoosh around some water and dump it out. But normally I'll just dump them out, and that usually is pretty fine. Matt, I currently have the K1122 Krenslow. Would it be possible to convert that to a wall mount with the custom install? It is. You got to be really handy. And no, we can't. I don't really know how to do it. We haven't done it, so contacting support isn't going to help you. You want to sell it and get a 1322. You could sell it very easily because there aren't any anywhere. Go put it on OG Marketplace. You'll sell it for $1,000 and order a 1322, which you ought to be able to get at some point here. Or hold on to your 1122, order the 1322. When 1322 comes in, then if you can swing that that float, then sell the 1122. Matt, I have a CR spotless that's used infrequently. Does the wear out by letting it sit 6 months at a time? I haven't found that it does, so I think it's fine. Matt, are you still doing financial advising, or is OG your primary source of income? Yeah, no, I'm not, and OG is my only source of income. And let's see, Daniel BC says, how much did it cost for the expensive suspension for the Honda? That was the blue one. I paid like $8,000 for it, but it has a retail of $12,000. I paid cost for it because I'm friends with the Moton guys. Hey, Matt, do you intend to offer karaoke and pinball machines for sensible man cave owners? I do not. Matt, what do you think of the C1 replacement for the CX LG? I think it's, I haven't kept up on the differences. The differences are usually pretty minimal, but they're normally like panel refreshes. A lot of times the differences have been audio, which we don't care about, but I'm certain it's probably pretty decent. Do you regret your investment into crypto? No, it's not an investment. I just bought some to experience it, so I don't care. What's it worth? I have no idea. Let's see. This is for people, when you ask that question, you're living day to day. I mean, if I bought this, I'm going to have it forever. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't really care. So I bought 25 grand, split it 50-50, it's worth 38. So, but people live on this. They live and die on this. Like, well, it was worth 43 3 weeks ago. Well, that was 3 weeks ago. That's like zero time. Who cares? So, yeah, no, I don't. Sorry, I don't mean to pick on you there, Toby. Oh, $100 Canadian. Jim L. Thanks, Jim. Hey, Matt, congrats on another successful Black Friday. Isn't this fun? It's freaking crazy. Crazy question I've been asked before about my business. What would you value Obsessed Garage today? And what, if any amount, would you sell it for tomorrow? That's a great question, Jim. So Jim owns a Canadian store that sells high-end cooking supplies, and has had a similar path that I've had. I wouldn't sell it today. I think if somebody offered me, I don't know what number would do it. Let's just say I wanted to live on $1 million a year in a crazy scenario, and let's say I can make a 5% return on my money. So I think 25 million. Which would be like 1.25 times revenue. It would probably be like, I don't know, 10 times earnings or something like that, which wouldn't be out of the question. So I think if somebody offered me 25 million, I would have a hard time sleeping at night. If somebody offered me 50, I'd probably take it on the spot. But the problem is that then I would want to just want to replicate it. I want to redo it. And so why wouldn't I just stick with it? Because the time that someone would be willing to buy the business, some other company would be willing to buy this, would be the time where it stands on its own and it wouldn't need me to work as hard. And so then that time would be, I'd be making, 10, 12, $15 million a year. And so why wouldn't I just keep it going? Right now, it's too much of a personal brand, I think, to be valued at these numbers that I would take. So I would just keep it. It's not, we don't have a lot of assets outside of some inventory and some equipment. So I think I think that it doesn't make any sense for me to value it much, but it's certainly worth something. What, I don't know, but I would say I'd probably again, $25 million would make me think about it. Somebody said, "I will give you $25 million and you get to walk away." But then this is what I want to do. So then what am I going to do? What am I going to do with $25 million? I don't want to travel. I don't want to go anywhere. So what would I do with it? I'd take the $25 million and try to rebuild it. And, and I'd probably obviously would have some sort of non-compete, and I don't know, man. It's, maybe I'd have to go build something else. So, yeah. I just bought AM5s. Pretty excited. Cool, man. Yeah, Bill, the AM5s are really nice for what you get. I think you're going to like them. And then your path would be eventually add a subwoofer to that, and you'll be in love. Let's see. Dude, some stuff you can say you just don't know. Talking about crypto is nuts. Yeah, there's another future poor person there, guaranteed. How much does it cost to buy the suspension that was on the Honda? I already talked about that. Can you please do a BMW, more BMW content? I got plenty of BMW content. We'll do it as it makes sense. Let's see. E36, E46 is coming. Yeah, so the E46 stuff is coming. The E36 is coming back, so I'll have a bunch of stuff on that. Where do you draw the line between DIY services? You don't do house cleaning, but you want to do DI maintenance. Is it a cost thing? It's an interest thing. If I'm interested in it, then I want to do it, or I want at least the option to do it. I'm interested in detailing, so I at least want the option to do that. Have you ever considered Rousseau boxes and cabinets? Yes, I know them quite well. Nice stuff. I actually introduced Pan to the Rousseau people. How much does it cost to buy the suspension for the Honda? I keep asking that question. Have you ever thought of moving to the European market? Yes, I'm working on that someday. I'd like to be there in a couple of years. We have an entire video. Yeah. Any questions on the budget mid-range home theater receiver? I'm working on that. Any Japanese receiver is going to be great. Any Yamaha, any Denon, any Onkyo, any Marantz is going to be great. So just take the amount of money you got and add $100 to it and try to get the next level up. Just placed my first OG order. Thanks, Dev. Appreciate that. Let's see. Will you ever build another Honda? I don't have plans to, but I'd say never. I don't say never anymore. For indoor, outdoor, I like Sonos. We'll stop liking Sonos because it's not any good. Let's see. Instagram questions. All right, let's go to Instagram here. Let me do this. The first car that changed your life. That's an easy one. That's my 99. So this is Brian Patrick Wright on Instagram or maybe Facebook, one or the other. This was, what did I get that? 2000. I got my 99, or 2001. Early 2001 when I got my Civic, and I bought it from my buddy Charles, and then started modifying it. And I had a $30-something thousand, $12,000 Honda Civic, and I sold it for $12,000 in 2002 when I got my S2000. That car moved me toward car culture and is largely the reason why I'm here today. So it really did change my life. Aharv30 says, when will OG have to move to a large facility because of growth? Well, yesterday, 10 months ago, 12 months ago, I really need to go into a bigger facility, but I'm going to have to build it because we're kind of stuck here now because we've got, I keep saying we have 30. We have 23 employees plus me, so we have 24 right now is what we have. And then we'll have, I think, we'll have 2 more, so we'll have like 26. So we have a lot of people that have moved here. Unless I can afford to relocate everybody, we're going to have to stay here. How many logs will I split before I discontinue my fireplace? No fireplaces. Get rid of that crap. How do you clean your TV, and what is the benefit of using an external streaming box? I clean it with a waffle weave rag company towel, or the glass towel that I have in my store, and I use invisible glass. You just spray it on directly on the screen and wipe it gently, and then flip the towel over and finish wiping it. I do that once every 6 months maybe. And then the second question is the benefit of an external streaming box. Most of the internal WebOS or Android on the Sony, they're just kind of clunky. So I like an Apple TV because it's part of my Apple ecosystem. But you also may get, one could argue maybe the audio quality is a little bit better than just using the audio return channel from your display. You do, on some older displays, you have limitations on, you don't have full Dolby Atmos and DTS master quality audio coming out. But generally speaking, you're fine with the operating system on the display. I just like the Apple TV because it's part of my ecosystem. What's your definition of success for this Black Friday? Huh. Um, I don't really think about that very much. We've already been successful. I mean, we're already approaching the number we did last year, and we're only in the second day. Let's see where we're at here today. I don't know. The success for me is that I don't ruin anybody, like any of the employees, and I don't ruin them for life, and they want to get the heck out of here and not come back. I'm hoping that with all the issues of us split shipping, that we're still really profitable doing this, and I hope that this reserve your spot doesn't kill us. But I think just being able to do this is a success. And so I told Brad this, his whole job is to deal with the numbers. I don't really care what they are. I like looking at them. I like looking at the top line number, how much do we sell, but I don't know. I don't really get too bad in shape. Hey, Matt from Croatia. Have you ever been to Europe? Do you like traveling? I hate traveling, and I have not been to Europe, but I really would like to go. I'd like to visit, Scotland, Ireland. I'd like to visit, to go to Paris and visit, Europe in general, go to the Vatican and just go around. So I'm sure we'll do it someday, but I got stuff left to do in life. Gear.life, what went down with you and Todd Cooperrider Esoteric? Nothing really. I went there and was trained by them, and we talked about doing some stuff in business together. And they did my car, and I got my car back, and then I just sort of shared, the process, and it just wasn't meant to be. Like we were going to partner on some different products and stuff like that, and they just decided against it, and so I went on doing my thing, and they do their thing, and that's pretty much it. So we've never had any words or anything like that. So I just don't. They do their thing, and I do mine. So I know people want to make some big story, but there really isn't one. It's really pretty simple. Hey, Matt, did you ever get a chance to drive the GT500? And if so, do you think it could be a future purchase? I didn't drive it. I probably need to drive one at some point. I don't think so. I think about a GT350 often, like getting a GT350R. But then I remember that was a car that lived where it needed to live in my life, and GT500 is just a hopped up version of that without a manual, which I wouldn't love. Yeah, I think I'm done with that. But who knows? Maybe I'll get one if I ever get into collecting, I guess. How many zebra cakes do you consume? None. And I still haven't had that stuff, the special edition ice cream with the Christmas trees in it. I need to get some of that. Let me go get a drink here. Let's take a few minute break, and I do have a bunch more questions to answer. So let's keep rolling here. Let me go back to where I left off. What was your primary source of income? Talked about pinball machines. So right here, RT. We'll come back to him. He has a question about the audio private sale. So let me go get some water, go to the bathroom, be right back.